Love, I summon you, mystery of the heart. Come, you, our striving, our sole aim. These men of dust are now outworn. Create a new Adam from our clay. و چی میپرسی میان سینه دل چیست؟ خرد چون سوز پیدا کرد دل شد. دل از ذوق تپش دل بود لیکن چون یک دم از تپش افتاد گل شد. You ask, what is this heart deep in the breast? Mind, fire consumed, became the heart. Desire to burn made up the heart. Flame out, it turned to dust again. Iqbal wrote these lines towards the end of his life. Images such as flame, dust, heart even, were the stock in trade of conventional Persian poetry. In Iqbal's hands, they take on a new life. He used the traditional forms to write radical poems which, in his own words, would lead to creating a new Adam from our clay. The word love in conventional poetry was passive, general, and sentimental. The word Iqbal uses in both Persian and Urdu to convey his concept of love, as we all know, is ishq. Now, ishq in Iqbal's poetry has a very wide sense. It is creative passion, divine spark, high enthusiasm for an ideal, and the force that drives the individual to realize himself through his wrestling with the world and with his God. In one of his best-known poems, Love, the wellspring of life, love is the warmth of life, and love is the radiance and the grandeur of diction in Urdu I find particularly appealing. Ishq ki taqveem mein asr rawan ke siwa aur zamane bhi hain jinka nahi koi naam. Ishq dam-e Jibrail, ishq dil-e Mustafa, ishq khuda ka rasool, ishq khuda ka kalam, ishq की मस्ती से है पैकरे गुलताबनाक, इश्क है सहबाए खाम, इश्क है कासुल कराम, इश्क फकीह हरम, इश्क अमीर जुनूद, इश्क है इब्न सबील, इसके हजारों मकाम, इश्क के मिज़राब से नग़्मा तारे हयात, इश्क है नूरे हयात, इश्क है नारे हयात. One of his best-known poems, the Mosque of Cordova. Day succeeding to night, moulder of all time's works, day succeeding to night, fountain of life and of death, chain of the days and nights, two-colored thread of silk woven by him, that is, into his being's robe. Chain of the days and nights, sigh of eternity's harp, height and depth of all things possible, God revealed, you are brought to their feet, I am brought to their test. Day revolving with night, touchstone of all this world. Weighed in their scales, you and I, weighed and found wanting, shall both find in death our reward, find in extinction our wage. What other sense have your nights? What have your days but one long blank current of time, empty of sunset or dawn, All art's wonders arise only to vanish once more. All things built on earth sink as if built on sand. Inward and outward things, first things and last, must die. Things from of old or newborn find their last goal in death. Yet, in this frame of things, gleams of immortal life show where some servant of God wrought into some high shape work whose perfection is still bright with the splendor of love. Love, the wellspring of life. Love on which death has no claim. Love, the wellspring of life. Swiftly, its tyrannous flood, time's long current may roll. Love itself is a tide, stemming all opposite waves. Other ages in love's calendar are set down, ages as yet unnamed, far from this now flowing hour. But love is Gabriel's breath. Love is Muhammad's strong heart. Love is the envoy of God. Love the utterance of God. Even our mortal clay, touched by love's ecstasy, glows. Love is a new-pressed wine. Love is the goblet of kings. Love is the priest of the shrine. Love the commander of hosts. Love the son of the road, counting 1,000 homes. Love's is the plectrum that draws music from life's taut strings. Love's the warmth of life, and love is the radiance. Shrine of Cordova, from love all your existence is sprung, love that can know no end, stranger to then and now, color or stone and brick, music and song or speech. Only the heart's warm blood feeds such marvels of craft. Flint with one drop of that blood turns to beating heart. Melody, mirth, and joy gush out of warm heart's blood. Yours, the soul-quickening pile, mine, the soul-kindling verse, yours to knock at men's hearts, mine to open their gates. Not less exalted than high heaven is the human breast. Handful of dust though it be, bounded by that blue sky, what, to him who is light, is it to watch men kneel? He cannot feel this fire melting our limbs as we pray. I, from the infidel east, see with what fervor I glow, blessings on God and his saint filling my soul, and my mouth fervently sounds my voice, ardently sounds my lute. God is God, like a song, thrilling through every vein. Outward and inward grace, witness in you, for him prove your builder like you, fair of shape and of soul, firm those foundations are fixed, countless those pillars soar like an array of palms over the Syrian sands. Light such as Moses beheld gleams on those walls, that roof high on that minaret's top, Gabriel sits enthroned. Never can Muslim despair. He, reciting his creed, stands before God where once Moses and Abraham stood. Limitless is his world, endless horizons are his. Tigris and Danube and Nile, billows that roll in his sea. Fabulous days have been his, strange are the tales he can tell. He who to ages outworn brought the command to depart. Pure and unmixed his cup, tempered and pure his steel. Warrior armed in his mail, there is no God but God. Under the shadow of swords, refuged by no God but God. Here stands his inmost self, manifest in your stones, fire of passionate days, rapture of melting nights. Here his high station displayed, here his high mounting thoughts, here his joy and desire, self-abasement and pride, as is the hand of God, so the believer's hand, potent, guided by craft, strong, fashioned of dust and of light, creature divine of soul, careless of both the worlds, beats his not humble heart, frugal of earthly hope, splendid of person. He earns friendship with courteous demeanor, wins every voice by his glance. Mild is the social hour, swift in the hour of pursuit, whether in feast or in fray, pure in conscience and deed. Round his servant's firm faith, God's great compass turns. All this universe else shadow, illusion, and myth. He is reason's last goal. He is the harvest of love. He is creation, and in his hall sets all spirits ablaze. Shrine of the lovers of art, visible powers of the faith, if there is under these skies loveliness equal to yours, only in Muslim hearts, nowhere else can it be. Ah, those proud cavaliers, champions Arabia sent forth, pledged to the splendid way, knights of the truth and the creed. Through their empire a strange secret was understood. Friends of mankind hold sway, not to command, but to serve. Europe and Asia from them gathered instruction. The West lay in darkness, and their wisdom discovered the path. Even today, in this land, rich with their blood, dwells a race carefree, open of heart, simple and smiling-faced. Even today, in this land, eyes like the soft gazelles dart those glances whose barbs stick in the breast where they fall. Even today, in its breezes, fragrance of Yemen still floats. Even today, in its songs, echoes live on of Hejaz. Round in twilight, a cloud hangs over vales and hills. Heaped by this sunset with red rubies of Badakhshan, simple, poignant, a girl singing her peasant song. Youth is the current that bears lightly the boat of the heart. O flowing river, here on your bank is one gazing at things gone by, dreams of another day. Destiny's curtain till now muffles the world to be, yet already its dawn never endured. Songs as burning as mine. Death, not life, is the life no revolutions stir. Change, upheaval, the air breathed by the nation's souls, keen as a sword that fate holds in its hands, in a folk mindful to reckon its deeds, casting their sum in each age. Warmed by no blood from the heart, all men's creations are botched. Warmed by no blood from the heart, poetry's rapture grows faint. सिलसिला रोज़ और शब नक्श करे हादिसात, सिलसिला रोज़ और शब अस्ल हयात व ममात, सिलसिला रोज़ और शब तारे हरीरे दुरंग जिससे बनाती है ज़ात अपनी क़बाए सिफ़ात. You all know the poem. That was Kiernan's translation of it. And like all translations, can only give you a flavor of the meaning. Well, apart from ishq and love, which with him is the warmth of life and is the radiance, desire is a very different matter. Iqbal describes it as the binder of the book of deeds. For Iqbal, desire is always an action that pursues and seeks life in an active rather than passive way. His affirmation of desire alone, I think, stands Iqbal as a unique Eastern poet. He was, after all, the product of a land which for centuries had preached renunciation. He had the poetic courage to preach and assert the supremacy of desire as he saw it. Zindagi dar justuju pushide ast. Asle ou az arzu pushide ast. Arzu jan o jahan rang o boost. Fitrat har shay amin arzust. Life lies hidden in the search, its essence concealed in desire. Cherish yearning in your heart, or your dust becomes your tomb. Desire is the soul of this world of essence. And then again he says, all nature is true to desire. It sets the heart dancing in the breast, shining bright as a mirror. Desire gives the earth the power of growing, guides Moses to the gate of perception. Iqbal's life was outwardly pretty uneventful. He liked spending time at home. This could be a reason why he did not acquire international reputation during his lifetime. Unlike Tagore, he had no Yeats to promote him. But another reason, which I find more plausible, is that European, particularly English lovers of the Orient, could not have found his emphasis on action and deed to be palatable. All Eastern poets surely must reflect a delicate sense of mysticism. A poet must sing of delectable futilities and not be urging people to stand on their feet and get going. Iqbal's verse, is my feeling, fitted into none of the categories assigned to Eastern and Indian poets. His poems brought no sense of comfort. They were sharp, even querulous. No, I'm not Moses, speech gifted, nor you, Abraham, beautiful friend. I, destroyed by the power of magic and art, you by the idol maker's subtle craft. I, cindered song, burnt out in the throat. You, shriveled color, frightened scent. I, memory of the pain of desire. You, echo of the lament of love. My comfort, agony. My sweetness, gall. My soul, twinned into oblivion. Your heart, temple pawned. Your faith held easy hostage by the infidel. Life's numbered breath, too brief a span. Life's rhythm, a grief poison to feel. Do not count the time, do not wail the loss. So reach the saint's arrogant glory. If there's a spark still in your heart, think not of wealth and poverty, for in this world black peasant bread sinews the strength of Haidar's arm. Lamp of the shrine, teach me, your moth, that circling faith, devotion drunk. Bestow on me yet once again the salamander's nature, fire-born. Against its guardians, the shrine's complaint of faithlessness, decked in loyal zeal, called out in the house of God. So the idols would shout, "Oh God, God." Mercy, protector of East and West, waiting for your grace we stand, beggars gifted by your will, with the mind and heart of kings. न सलीका मुझ में कलीम का, न करीना तुझ में खलील का, मैं हिला के जादू सामरी, tu qatil shevai azari. Disquiet again from Iqbal. If the stars depart their orbit, is space yours or mine? Should I care how the world goes? Is the world yours or mine? If love's restless clangor does not resound in the firmament, whose crime eternity, Lord? Yours or mine? If he rebelled when time began, how did the courage come? What do I know? Whose chosen confidant was Satan, yours or mine? Muhammad, yours. Gabriel, too. The Quran, yours. Whose interests did their sweet words serve? Yours or mine? Only man, born of dust, lights up your world. Who's lost then if this star declines? Yours or mine? That last poem was a ghazal, which, as you know, a poetic form, 1,000 years ago, old. Now, the point is that the ghazal ranges over moods and phases of love. But the very images that Iqbal uses and the ones that he employs, limited though they may be in kind or number, are totally different. The most outstanding characteristic of ghazal is its conventionality. Iqbal takes the ghazal exactly as he finds it and remains for the most part faithful to the old symbols, the wine pourer, the wine cup, the nightingale. But the old metaphors and similes in his hand acquired not only a wider but a different kind of meaning. Kiernan has translated some of his ghazals and some reproducing the original rhyme scheme. His experiment, I think, is at its phonetic best in one of the ghazals where he comes remarkably close to the prosody of the original. Let me accentuate the original rhyme scheme for you. Alame abu khak bad sirre ayan hai tu ke main. Fabric of earth and wind and wave, who's the secret, you or I? Tu kafe khak ko be basar, main kafe khak ko khud nigar. You are a pinch of dust and blind, I am a pinch of dust and blind. Well, cadence apart, fabric of earth and wind and wave, who's the secret? You or I? Brought into light, or who the dark world or what hides yet? You or I? Here in this night of grief and pain, trouble and toil that men call life, who is the dawn, or who dawns prayer, cried from the minaret? You or I? Who is the load that time and space beat on their shoulder? Who the prize run for with fiery feet by swift daybreak on their shoulder? You or I? You are a pinch of dust and blind. I am a pinch of dust and blind. Through the dry land, existence who flows like a streamlet, you or I? Interestingly enough, before Kiernan revised it, his translation ran as follows. O world of earth, wind, water, are you the secret brought to light, or I? Are you the continent of that which lies concealed from sight, or I? Actually, I'm not sure that this may have been the later version, but the two that I've seen, I find that this must have been the original version until he felt that he needed to reproduce the rhyme scheme. The works I find of Iqbal hauntingly sublime and serene and never tired of reading. ये गुंबद मीनाई, ये आलम तन्हाई, मुझको तो डराती है इस दश्त की पहनाई। भटका हुआ राही तू, भटका हुआ राही मैं, मंजिल है कहां तेरी ए लाल सहराई। खाली है कलीमों से ये कोह कमर, वरना तू शोला सीनाई, मैं शोला सीनाई। तू शाख से क्यों फूटा, मैं शाख से क्यों टूटा। एक जज्बे पैदाई, एक लज्जत यकताई, इस मौज के मातम में रोती है भंवर की आंख। दरिया से उठी लेकिन साहिल से न टकराई, है गर्मी आदम से हंगामा आलम गर्म। सूरज भी तमाशाई, तारे भी तमाशाई। ऐ बाद बियाबानी मुझको भी इनायत हो, खामोशी और दिल सोजी, सरमस्ती और आनाई। खिरत के पास खबर के सिवा कुछ और नहीं, तेरा इलाज नजर के सिवा कुछ और नहीं। हर एक मकाम से आगे मकाम है तेरा, हयात ज़ौक़ सफर के सिवा कुछ और नहीं। रगों में गर्दिश खून है अगर तो क्या हासिल, हयात सोज़े जिगर के सिवा कुछ और नहीं। बड़ा करीम है इक़बाल बेनवा, लेकिन अताए शोला शरर के सिवा कुछ और नहीं। वही मेरी कम नसीबी, वही तेरी बेनियाजी, मेरे काम कुछ ना आया ये कमाल नए नवाजी। मैं कहाँ हूँ तू कहाँ है, ये मकान कि ला मकान है, ये जहां मेरा जहां है कि तेरी करिश्मा साजी। इसी कश्मकश में गुजरी मेरी जिंदगी की रातें, कभी सोज़ो साज रूमी, कभी पेचो ताबे राजी। कोई काररवां से टूटा, कोई बदगुमा हरम से, कि अमीर कारवां में नहीं खूए दिल नवाजी। Contrary runs our planet now. The stars whirl fast, O Saki. In every atom's heart, a day of judgment's blast, O Saki. दिगरगू है जहां तारों की गर्दिश तेज है साकी। For our inveterate sickness, our inconstancy of heart, the cure, the joyous cup we drained in ages past, O Saki. इलाज उसका वही आब निशात अंगेज है साकी। Yet of the desert his plows, his folks plow, I shall not despair. A little rain and its soil yields a harvest vast, O Saki. जरा नम हो तो ये मिट्टी बहुत जरखेज है साकी। Now this recurrent ending, O Saki, followed that single rhyme, vast, fast, blast, and past. And after the first couplet, it occurs alternately. I think it's a very good example of how Iqbal creates new atoms from our clay, or from old clay. The old symbol of Saki is used for a different purpose. Iqbal is not looking for the wine that inebriates, but the one that recreates. He took the existing poetic conventions and lifted them to a new imaginative purpose. But this was not always so. His earlier verse was largely preoccupied by descriptive and with lyrical themes, somewhat influenced by the English Romantic poets. The two of the most recurrent symbols are the nightingale and the rose. The nightingale, poet, forever in pursuit of rose, the unobtainable love. I give you two extracts from his earlier poems, The Withered Rose and The Moon. And immensely Wordsworthian they are. How can I name you, flower, withered rose? How invoke you as the nightingale's desire? The morning breeze was once your vibrant cradle, and in the garden courtyard they called you laughing rose. My wilderness is leagues from your native land, yet my heart is drawn to rough tides by your power, aimed for what gathering, from what gathering come? Pallid with grief of relentless journeying, your light, my darkness, share the universe. Strange opposites, yet knotted in a common providence. It was after his return from Europe that Iqbal begins to write in Persian. And generally this is considered to mark his profounder phase. The Persian language had a vocabulary that was adequate to the expression of the most abstract and complex nuances of thought and emotion. But I have a feeling that Iqbal probably felt that writing in Persian would be less liable to censorship under the British rule. He certainly felt that Urdu was insufficient to the philosophic journey on which he had chosen to embark. And the most ambitious of these journeys was his last major work, Javeed-Name, literally translated the Book of Eternity. The Book of Eternity is a description, as you've heard, I'm sure, of a spiritual journey made by Iqbal from Earth through our planetary system and beyond to the presence of God himself. Funnily enough, one of the things I've chosen is the one that Durrani Sahib has already recited, because but this is an English translation. As his guide, as we all know, he chooses the poet Jalaluddin Rumi, whom he always regarded as his spiritual mentor. There is a slight similarity with Dante's Divine Comedy, because there is the same imaginative purpose. And both Dante and Iqbal try to reassess history and historical expression in terms of their intensely religious feelings. But the scale of the Book of Eternity is very different. Perhaps the most interesting encounter in the Book of Eternity for me is the one in which he meets Iblis, or the devil. A pilgrimage into the celestial spheres cannot, of course, be complete without a meeting with Satan. Iqbal's Satan, like Milton's, has a tremendous stature. He regards Satan as a soul who, out of infinite passion for God, has deprived himself of his presence. Satan is the leader of the tribe of those who are destined to suffer permanent separation from the beloved. Now the protagonist, Iqbal, says, "Suddenly I saw the world had become dark from space to spacelessness. In that night a flame appeared, from the midst of which an old man leaped forth, wrapped in a cloak of antimony grey." Rumi said, "The leader of the tribe of separation." And Satan's lament, which you read. "I have become so involved in labor that even on the Sabbath I am rarely at rest. I have no angels, no servants attending me. My revelation is without benefits or profits. I have brought neither tradition nor book. In the faith of Satan there are no schisms and sects. Ignorant one, I have given up prostration. I have turned the organ of good and evil to share in the pain and suffering of Adam. I did not forego the fury of the beloved. Deliver me now from my fire. Resolve, O man, the knot of my toils." Well, the poet urges Satan to give up the cult of separation, and with tremendous dignity and courage, Satan answers, "The order of life is from the ache of absence. Oh, blessed ecstasy upon ecstasy on the day of separation. My lips can never utter the word of union. For if I were to desire of union, neither the beloved would remain, nor I. God of the righteous and the unrighteous, man's company has devastated me. Not once has he rebelled against my rule. I need a servant of God possessed of vision. I need a riper adversary. What is man? A handful of straw. One spark from me is enough for a handful of straw. If nothing but straw existed in this world, what profited it to endow me with so much fire? I have become so saddened by all my triumphs that now I come to you for recompense. I seek from you one who dares to deny me. Guide me to search a man of God. Grant me, O God, one living man of faith. Perhaps I shall know of delight at last in defeat. Iqbal had set himself the task of transforming the world of Islam. He may even have wanted us to judge him from that standpoint. In 1903, he wrote to a friend, "For a long time, I have been yearning to write in the manner of Milton, Paradise Lost, etc. And the time for that is fast approaching, because in these days, there's hardly a moment when I'm not thinking seriously of this. I have been nurturing this wish for the past 5 or 6 years, but the creative pangs have never been as acute as now." Well, in the last years, when his creative pangs gave birth, there was a torrent of inspiration which never dried up. His last few years were intensely productive. Iqbal sought the exposition of the utmost sense of the prophetic revelation. Like other great poets, Iqbal was searching for something that was unobtainable. But at least he made an attempt. Like all prolific writers, I find, with Iqbal, there are, of course, repetitions and contradictions. There are times when his verse sounds harsh and full of pronouncements. But even in his most exasperated passages, he manages to convey a sense of serenity. The endless debates and arguments he had with himself were transformed into a kind of exaltation. In one word, I could have written the longings of the whole world, but I so loved your presence that I gave my story at length. چو رخت خویش بربستم از این خاک همی گفتند با ما آشنا بود ولیکن کس نداند این مسافر چی گفت و با کی گفت و از کجا بود. When to leave earth I gathered what was mine. To have known me through and through was each man's claim. But of this traveler none knew truly what he spoke, or to whom he spoke, or whence he came. I thank you.